What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Survivor Now podcast, and welcome to the Survivor 48 after show for episode 9. I am back. My name is Randy. I went to Atlanta last week, had a wonderful time at Ron Clark's Academy. No Abraham this evening. He is partying it up with Bryce and Wendell in Texas this evening. So joining me, I have the incredibly knowledgeable, that's what I was trying to get out, Josh. And then from season 44 and season 45, Bruce Peralt. Bruce, I've been meaning to ask you this. This is kind of like an icebreaker right here. Do I pronounce your name wrong? Because someone put in the chat, I have the same last name and you're pronouncing it wrong. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it right because I think Bruce would have told me by now.
Say it again.
Peralt.
Oh, am I frozen?
No, you're not.
No. All right.
No, you're.
Say it again. Pronounce my last name.
Peralt.
There you go. Peralt. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. I don't know.
I want to start. I'm sorry. I gotta start off really quick. I gotta get my head right because I just lost my Chocolate Milk Alliance. Love them for multiple reasons. I know I'm skipping ahead, but I'm chocolate, so that's one thing. I like milk. I wore my tight shirt to get shorter muscles today. Like I'm distraught. I'm distraught. I got two people going, and then I don't even know what to do with myself.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's a blow to your draft, but I will say you're getting no sympathy here because Josh went through a lot last year, and I don't have a team.
Oh, yes.
If Abraham was here tonight, I'm sure he would have all the sympathy in the world for you. But I mean,
Sure.
we can get right into this episode because there's a lot to talk about. If you guys are watching us, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We have a little new backdrop today, a little darker tone. So yeah, that was all on me. I'm not going to get through a season without changing the background or something. It's just not going to happen. Georgette, always growing. Georgette's in the live chat. Hi guys, what's up? Welcome in everybody joining. You can join our Ancient Voices live chat as we talk about everything that happened this episode. And Josh, I'm going to go to you first because before we even start talking about a particular moment, before we went live, you immediately said, good episode. And that's a good note to start on. What did you really enjoy about this episode this evening?
I liked seeing how we got so much of the buildup to this big blind side that clearly, is changing everything for the whole alliance because the whole narrative, the post-merge has just been this like strong 5 or strong 6 alliance. And now they all just kind of like said goodbye to that, and the game seems a lot more open now. And I think they had been setting up for it the last couple of weeks, but today so much build up to this inevitable tribal council, which I think there's like some holes I can pick of this alliance. In this episode, especially with how they're giving so much to the people in the majority and not so much to the people on the bottom, but. I would way prefer this, like all that camp life, all that strategizing, all the how we got there for this move to happen over last week, which was like 25 minutes at a challenge and then some time on reward and just like a lot of stuff like that we don't really need as much. I do think that this was time that was a lot better spent and a way more satisfying outcome for most of us viewers. Sorry, Bruce. I know it sucks to lose someone from your draft team, especially someone who's racking up so many points for you. I feel you. But I feel like this season really needed this.
Yeah, okay. So I have a little differing opinions, but I'm going to hold off because I want to go to Bruce because I love the fact, Josh, that you brought up. We've been seeing this build up for weeks, right? This power, strong, 5-person alliance, 6 if you count Mary in it as well. And in this episode, it was the main focus. And it is the first thing that I wanted to talk about is it's the paranoia that's setting in because we even heard them say, we can do something that's not done a lot and we can just stick together as an alliance. You have a guaranteed ticket to the final 6. And I'm not meaning to get off track here, but when I was doing my online org with Expedition Online, we had a very similar thing. The merge happened. We formed a very powerful 6. And that 6 lasted for about 1-2 votes. And then immediately we were, well, I got to get this person out before they get me out. Well, I got to get this person out because they're closer to this person. And then we had that one person who was like, why can't we just stick to the 6? That one person was me. It was like, just stay loyal until we get to 6, and then we can go after each other. So I want to ask you, Bruce, someone who has actually been out there and played the game, why is it so hard to just, guys, we could make it to the final 6, no questions asked. We're at the final 9 right now. Why are people so pushy to make a move? Is it the paranoia? Is it, the fear? I guess those are kind of the same thing. What is it?
It's not paranoia and it's not fear. What it basically is it's you're taking a look at the people that you're supposed to be in this alliance with, and it's like, okay, so if we get to a position where it's just the 6 of us, that person's gonna have me voted out. So I don't want to have that. You take it's one of those things. You take an inward look at the 6, or you look at the Reba 4, right? The Reba 4 when I played, everybody was a part of the Reba 4 that was there. So and Drew was the first of the Reba 4 to be voted out. Why? Because they could see how Drew spoke. That's one of the reasons why I was gone. So you take a look at that and it's like, okay, that's going to hurt me down the road. Or he has a sporadic move that's going to make me go question him a little bit in regards to his intent to the group. So when it's 6, there's no way in hell that all 6 people are going to sit there and say, yup, we're all together. Not going to happen. I'm surprised that Mary is literally still sitting there like, yeah, guys, let's all do this. And not looking at it and saying, all right, let's bring in Mitch. And now we have 4 of us to try and vote out one of the muscles. And then Mary can sit there and say, hey, I'm good. Because we all know coming up in the next episode, now it's 4 and 4. You got 4 muscles and with Mary, and then you got 4 non-muscles, if you want to call it that. So that it will never hold water. It'll never hold water with 6 people. It'll never hold water really with 4 people. They'll only go so far because you have to start looking at, who is going to beat me? Who is going to potentially beat me with this story? Because you get everybody's story. Everybody talks in a bunch of alpha personalities out there. Even though, we heard tonight, oh, well, I'm a little awkward. This and that. Alpha personality. There's no getting around it. So once you start looking at all that, these alphas get together. They're going to eat each other from the inside out. That's how it works.
Especially when you have an alliance built on strength. You have a bunch of alpha males, and I'm not saying that all the alpha males here are wanting to be that person in power. We saw David very pushy on wanting to make a move. I want Camilla. Why can't it be Camilla? And we spoke about it on the pre-show about, is this going to end up being his undoing, which it was at the end of the day. And then you have Kyle. Kyle's not really a person who's I got to be in charge. I got to be running things. We know his problem was, I don't want to get rid of Camilla. She's my number 1. So that makes sense. But then you have Joe, another alpha male, if you put it like that, which Joe is just playing, which is going to be our next point. I want to kind of stay on where we're at right now with this alliance right now, why it didn't succeed. But Joe is playing a very loyal game. He's I'm not going to take back any of my word. If I give you my word, I'm going to keep it. And he's focused on the game, but he's not focused on the cutthroat part of the game. So the only other guy that I could see being a kind of stickler in this alliance situation is Shaheen. And at the end of the day, I think it was David versus Shaheen in a sense, which kind of led to how the vote went tonight. Would you guys disagree with that at all? Because I feel like even though that wasn't the main focus, where the edit was pointing us to it, they were definitely pointing it sort of in a Kyle versus David situation. I saw Shaheen as being more of the guy who's no, I'm not going to let David run this ship.
I think it's probably both of them. I mean, because both Kyle and Shaheen were the ones who were seeing the writing on the wall, seeing that they were the 2 who were, if anyone was going to get edged out of the 6-person alliance, it was going to be them. So, to answer your question about 6 people sticking together, part of why that doesn't happen is because people will eventually realize okay, somebody's number 5 in this alliance, somebody's number 6. And eventually people kind of catch on that it's them. Maybe back in the day when people were a little more naive or a little more willing to trust big alliances like that you would see the 6 like completely wipe out the other. But these days, I mean, they're way too forward thinking, and there's like, you know, because the game is shortened in terms of like voting rounds, like with voting stopping at 5, there's only so many opportunities to do stuff. So they're seeing the writing on the wall. They're seeing like, I don't know if I can, you know, this 6 is not beneficial to me. It's beneficial to David and Joe and Eva and Mary, I guess, but it's not beneficial to Kyle, not beneficial to Shaheen in the long run. Mm-hmm. So I think it was kind of both of them who were arriving at the same conclusion at the same time, that they, you know, if anyone's going to get edged out, it's going to be them. And the person who's making that alliance like not a good experience and making them feel more, you know, tense, more on the edge was David. Yeah.
I do want to say before I go back to you, Bruce, thank you for everyone I see the chat right now. Let's see some people. So Nezzy, my brother, adds in, they sold getting rid of David. Zanz adds in, they treated David like it was his own fault for not having his 1 or 2 on the side. Everyone has side deals. And then Georgette asked, who voted Mitch? Josh, you're usually really
Mary. It was Mary and Star. Mary, David, and Star. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's who voted. And also, I see we have so many viewers right now on X. We've got 70 viewers on X right now. If you're watching on X, you can go check us out on YouTube as well. If you're enjoying this chat, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and all of that good stuff. Bruce, at the end of the day, was it the right move? Josh brought it up how when you're looking at your alliance, right, you're kind of looking at the bigger picture. Who's working with who, which there's just so much. I could take this conversation in like a million different ways, and I'm going to try to drag it out here for this next hour that we're going to be chatting. No one's even questioning Joe and Eva. There was a point in the episode where Eva literally went, well, I got to talk to Joe first. And it's mind-boggling that no one's like, hold on, we talk about duos. Everybody and their mama knows that Joe and Eva are going to be like this till the very end of the game. But we'll get to that. Just a little tease for that discussion. Was this the right move at the end of the day, getting rid of David? Because when you look at your alliance and you lay out all the pieces, that's the guy causing the drama. And you know, it's very high school like, but at the end of the day, if you're looking at your friend group and you're like, why are we getting in the fights? There's always that one person who's kind of stirring stuff up. That was David in this sense.
That was me as a kid. So 45 minutes into the show, I knew that David was going home just because of the edit. Yeah. And then, so that means I had another 45 minutes to watch what was going on. I was very, very surprised that they had as much camp life as they did. And it was refreshing. It was good to see because this is the stuff that people don't really get a part of. My wife made it abundantly clear that Star really only showed up on the television one time. And then she was with Mitch talking about swimming. And then she looked like a dolphin with a dagon's head. Like she just was flailing. But anyway, it was. I understand why they got rid of David because David was actually on point. He was on point in saying who's going to flip. He was on point in understanding the game. And the unfortunate part, and as Abraham would say, future survivor players, the unfortunate part is that you're going to know what's going on. You're going to see what's going on. You're going to have a full, clear, concise understanding as to what is going on at that moment in time. And you need to articulate it in a different way than what David did, unfortunately. David came across like aggressive, and he came across, he was just, and I don't want to say aggressive, like, aggressive, like, he was just like, yo, this is what's going on, and this is this, and then, like, he would think back to certain things, as opposed to asking Joe about his intention in voting the last time. He just basically said that you flipped or whatever happened.
You went back on his word.
Well, back in your word. That's what it was. Thank you. So now, like that right there, that's a nail in your coffin with Joe. Like Joe's now going to have you as suspect because remember, if you say something on day one, it's only been to this point. What is it? 17 days. People are going to remember what you said 17 days ago because they have no phone, they have no computer. There's nothing out there to be able to distract them from what people are saying around them. So we got a very good idea as to what the camp life looked like and how manic things were with David. And if you really if you listened, Mitch talked about, I think it was Mitch talked about Chrissy and how Chrissy was making it a little uncomfortable at camp because she was out there. And so you just have to pick your poison. And I think that David, malnourished, tired, the real him came out by way of like when he's hungry and ornery. Just here's the information. Why the hell aren't you guys seeing it? Without saying it that directly, but saying it like that. So that's how we started rubbing people the wrong way. And boom, here we are.
Well, that's the thing. I was kind of on David's side the entire time.
So was I.
Yeah, obviously you were. But I was on his side because it makes sense.
I was kicking my sister-in-law out of my house because I wanted to say, shut up. He's not going home. Leave him alone.
I don't think David honestly did anything wrong other than maybe push a little bit too hard, because I think he was making all the points when he brought up the fact, Josh, like, how are people not seeing this? Like, there's a reason that Kyle did not want to go Camilla when it should have been a clear-cut vote out. If we're 6 strong, like Kyle is saying, why can't we vote out Camilla? There's red flag number 1. And then every time he brought up a name, it was like someone else was like, well, we can't do that. And he's like, are you guys not seeing the duos? So I kind of feel for David. I feel for Bruce because David was his draft pick, but you can't even count David as your draft.
Yeah, for dead last in the draft, he did a lot of work for you. He did a lot of work for you.
He ended up on my team. Okay, I don't care if he was the first person, last person. I don't care if he was subbed in because somebody broke an ankle. I don't care. He was on my team. David, I'll ride with you, bro. All right, buy something good.
Ride with him straight.
I mean, you should for sure ride with him. But for the dead last pick in the draft, he did a lot of work for you. Last year, John Lovett was the first person voted off. So
I feel like I owe you like a pint of coffee milk.
No, you're totally right though, Randy. That he did have good reads. Like Kyle said that David was the only one who was kind of clocking that he was tight with Camilla, and he was like, that could be really bad for my game. He's got to go. And so, yeah, David was right. And it is beneficial to David to have all the strong guys work together. I think it was more, his PR of, how he was like communicating his whole message, and how he was, communicating to the people like inside the alliance and at tribal council was definitely rubbing people the wrong way. I mean, Camilla said last week at tribal, like, some of you have really bad jury management. And I think David was not necessarily winning friends and influencing people, but his reads were pretty good. And his strategy was for someone like him, it was advantageous. It just, it didn't work out because of how he was making it clear to people like Kyle and Shaheen that, that they weren't in his long-term plans.
I think we all owe David an apology at the end of the day for how we acted during the draft, because we were ripping on him in the fantasy draft.
You guys were.
I was not.
I wasn't either. I didn't get to talk. I remember not getting to talk that much in the conversation, but I remember like Kara made a point that I really liked, that he's like kind of a refreshing casting choice, because as someone who like doesn't watch the show a whole lot and is he applied, right? He wasn't a recruit, but he's someone who, circa like 2010 probably would have been cast on the show, recruited to be on the show. And we don't see people like that as much these days. And so I think he's, in this day and age, I think he was a refreshing casting choice, even though I was not rooting for him in the season. So, but I was not talking any crap on him during the draft.
It's funny you mentioned that, because Chrissy in one of her exit interviews was like, the people that apply for Survivor now are just brains. They just go out there and they're strategic and they know the show back and forth and back. They're super fans. They're ultra super fans. It would be nice if they were just like, they did half a tribe, or half of the tribe was all people that just I started watching last month because my uncle really likes it. I
would love if there's a few each season. I would love if there's just a couple people who are like, I've never seen the show, but my friend said I should go on, and I want $1 million. I think they don't have that many people who straight up like who know nothing or recruited, but they do have a lot of people who are like, I just discovered the show in the last year or two, and I've watched maybe like 15
Emily
seasons or so. Yeah, and like Dee, right? Like Dee was a pretty new fan, and she like crushed it.
Yeah, I get a little petty when it comes to this topic, because I get sick of hearing every year people who are on the show, they're like, Oh, I started watching at COVID. Like, oh, I love Survivor. I started watching at COVID.
Yeah.
I've been watching since South Pacific, and I've sent in like 9 applications to get on.
Yeah.
And people who have watched for 2 years are getting on.
I mean, I mean, some of these people are really good casting choices. Clearly, like a lot of these people we're naming from 45 Bruce's season are like, newer fans, and maybe like I don't know, some of them have never seen Survivor Marquesas or whatever, and you're like, how can you call yourself a fan? But ultimately, in the day, they're still at the end of the day, they're still good casting choices.
They're great cast, including this guy right here.
And yes, especially Jake. Jake's an OG fan though. Like some of his, I remember in Jake's preseason, he was saying some stuff about Survivor Vanuatu, and I'm like, that is a real fan right there. I vibe with this guy. So he's probably one of the exceptions on 45.
Jake, we love you, man. We got to get you back on. I'm going to send you the link right tomorrow. We got to get you on this. You should have jumped on tonight. We should have had you replace Abraham tonight. That's on me. Let's get to some of these comments here. GD Plasma adds in, how am I the only one who didn't love the episode? It was fairly good telling David's downfall, but it confirmed basically that the outsiders have no chance with the edit that they've gotten. This is kind of going off of, so I figured out a new toy to use for these streams. I can post polls through YouTube Live that you guys can vote on. So we had people vote. The question was, did you enjoy the episode? I'm going to end the poll. 80% of people said yes. 0% said no, and 20% said it was all right. So this is where Josh and I differ here. He really liked tonight's episode. I thought it was all right. I thought it was a good episode. I thought there was good storytelling. But I did tell Josh before we went on the air here, this season started off so good. Every single tribal council was drama-filled. We were losing people that we thought were going to go super deep into the season. I feel like it's lost steam since the Savo.
Don't you think this was a step in the right direction, though?
It was, yes, because it could have been if it went the other direction and it was like someone, girl, I love you. I love you, Mary. But if it was like a Mary vote who we haven't got a Mary edit, it would have been another straightforward ending.
Yeah, if it were,
so David's a big person to go home here.
Yeah, no, this was definitely needed. Like I said earlier, this was needed for the season because I think the 3 episodes before this, losing Charity and then Star and Cedric and then Chrissy last week, were all fairly straightforward results, just kind of picking off people on the bottom, which it happens from time to time, right? And I'm glad that it kind of like built up this sense of like, oh, there's this big alliance, like we need to turn against them, and then they finally did this week. So I think it's cool in that sense. But going back to that comment that you just highlighted, I said earlier how, there's like things I can pick apart about this episode, and that the edit of how they didn't really show that much strategic point of view from Star, Mitch, Camilla, and then none at all from Mary. I think that's 2 episodes in a row of 0 confessionals from Mary, from someone who's apparently like locked in with David and part of this majority alliance and like wormed her way in there somehow. Like, why haven't we seen anything from her?
I love Mary.
So it does feel like at this point, it would be really surprising if one of those 4, if Camilla, Star, Mitch, or Mary were to win because of how they have portrayed these last 2 episodes. Last week, I kind of understand. I'm like, okay, well, they were on at the challenge or on a reward for most of the episode, so I kind of get why. But this one, so much camp life, but still nothing at all from them. So at this point, just for it to be anyone other than Kyle, Shaheen, Joe, or Eva winning the whole thing, I would be surprised. But that being said, I still think that this was a very good step in the right direction and something that the season really needed.
So let me ask you a question, gentlemen. Okay. We all watch these shows on Netflix, Hulu, whatever. And it tends to start off with something to pull you in. You have to have that. If not, if it's boring at the beginning, you're just going to not watch it anymore. And then they got to have that. They have to have what's called a little bit of a lull.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, very fair.
So and I'm not dogging anybody out, but for people to sit there and say, oh, this wasn't an exciting episode, you got to take what you have and embrace what they're trying to give, the story that's being told. There is a story being told, okay? So look at it like that. If we're looking at it like we need the big stuff, we need these bigger things to happen, blah, blah, blah. Then when the big things do happen, we're like, oh, that's it?
He's dogging me right now.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
He's dogging me.
You can't have a finale in regards to a fireworks show the entire time, and then all of a sudden it's over. You're like, oh, well, where's the big, gigantic part of
And you run into a Game of Thrones situation where the entire season was incredible and the
and the end turned to shit. Or you look at the Sopranos, you work up in the Sopranos and it ends like, what did I just watch? Why did I just spend the last 6 years watching the Sopranos and all of a sudden it ended that way? You got.
This seems more heated. It seems like you and the Sopranos, have beef.
Oh, I got beef. Mr. Gandolfini. But I'm gonna tell, please, people that are watching, if you're watching and you really want to tell your friends, feel free. This was a very good episode. It was a very good episode because it gave context to what's going on. It gave the ability to build more of an arc with these players, because we've always bitched and complained. We have no idea who these players are. All of a sudden, this one wins. We have no. Listen, you ask to want to hear about them and see them, and you get it. Now you complain about it. Don't do that. Just sit back, eat popcorn, drink a drink, and understand this is going to take some time. It's going to have the ebb and the flow, and you're going to get to the end, and you're going to be like, okay, that's the reason why this is the winner. And that's it.
Yeah, don't be a
Bruce is spitting facts right here, because something that has been bothering me with the whole narrative online, and granted, I get it, like Twitter fans or Blue Sky fans, like that they are what they are. Like I get it. I'm there too. But just all this dialogue about, oh, this season's terrible, like worst season ever, worst season new era, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, I get it. I'm not rooting for the strong person alliance either. There were a few anticlimactic votes in a row. I get it. But like, let them cook. You can't have every single episode of a season be a banger. Some of the best some of the best moments, some of the best blindsides, or I don't know, power shifts that have ever happened in Survivor history happened because they took time to get there. And you had to build that sense of like discontent, that sense of like, rooting against or being sick of like the majority of alliance for one reason or another. I think I talked about this in my one of my first videos for you guys, that my favorite moment in Survivor ever is when Ozzy got blindsided in Survivor Micronesia, because I had been waiting for weeks for that to happen, as everyone is like fanning over Ozzy and like waiting for this, and like, he's so amazing, he's so good at swimming, I love watching him climb trees, blah blah blah. It's and I was just sick of it, and there was like several false alarms along the way trying to get rid of him, and I'm like, oh yeah, you got him, and then they didn't do it. So then when they finally did, I was like standing, I was 16 years old, like up in my, on my feet, like shouting at the TV, so excited that happened, because it took weeks to get there. If he left at the very first sense of me, like being annoyed with him, that's nowhere near as satisfying,
Yeah.
So you got to let it go. So
let it marinate. That's the phrase. Let it marinate.
Let it marinate. Because
you're like, yeah. Then all of a sudden you kind of sit back like, okay, I can see it.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Okay, I think the gentlemen are spitting facts right now.
So the thing about this season is like, what was I enjoying the first 3 episodes of the merge? They're not my favorites of the whole new era, right? It's been better, but I cannot write off this whole season off when we don't know where this is leading. We don't know what it's going to, because it's like, if this is going to lead to a big piece like David getting out, and then the whole game opens up next week, and then maybe, who knows,
which is very possible.
Yeah. Then like that's great, that's satisfying. It's what the season needs. But like, if it were to just be like, okay, yeah, Mitch goes this week, Star goes next week, Camilla goes the week after that, Kyle goes after that, and then we have a final 3 of David, Eva, and Joe, that would be a pretty lame season. And then I would agree with all the haters on Twitter. But you got to let them cook.
Side note, before we move on to our next topic about tonight's episode, Josh, you are familiar with the icebreakers that we do in the pre-show. For those of you who don't know, we do a pre-show at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Each week before the episode goes on air. It is a super fun time. I guess I should have had that ready. And we do this icebreaker thing, which is just a fun little game while people are like getting in. And I bring this up because you brought up Ozzy's name, about how you were excited for Ozzy. So today's icebreaker was keep 5, cut 5. I had 10 names of people who are highly rumored to be on Survivor 50.
Oh, love it.
And so I'll just run through really fast, because you're going to disagree with some of these. They think they did great. I think they didn't do the best. I'm sorry.
Okay, what do we got?
So it was a blind. You had to blindly do this. So the
So
first
you
name,
give me a name and I say keep or cut?
yes, and
Okay.
you have 5 of each.
Okay.
First name was Jonathan Pinner.
Keep.
Cut.
They cut him. So right now you have 1 keep. Next name was Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
I said keep.
You said keep too.
I think keep.
They cut her.
That would be wild. That would just be so wild.
Insane. Next name was Jonathan Young.
Cut.
Keep.
They kept him.
I didn't see the pre-show, by the way.
I didn't see it either. I didn't see it either.
Yeah, I can see Josh getting mad. Okay, the next name was Say.
Cut.
Yeah, I gotta go cut. Like the recency.
They kept her.
I'd love to see her again. I just like maybe like wait a year or two, you know?
Yeah.
Or 7.
Next name was Colby Donaldson.
Cut.
No.
They did cut him.
Yeah.
So far you guys, Josh has at least. Bruce, I know you got your own tally. You kept Pinner, you kept Hasselbeck. The next name was Ozzy.
I cut Pinner.
They kept him.
No, I would cut Ozzy.
Next name was Suri.
Keep.
Cut.
They cut Suri.
Yep, I would cut
Wow.
Suri too. Sorry, I love it to death, but I've seen enough.
Next name was Stephanie LaGrossa.
Keep.
They kept her.
Of course.
And then you have 4 keeps, and then there's cuts left. You have 1 cut and 1 keep left, and there's 2 names left. Okay. Next name was Christian Hubicki.
I would keep him.
At this point, like if you had asked me 5 years ago, I would have said cut. I'm more tempted to say keep now. But I still am going to say cut because I kind of want to hold off for who the last person might be.
So they cut Christian Hubicki as well, and they held off for the last person. Who the last person was Chrissy Hoffbeck.
Keep.
Yeah.
I could kind of go either way on Chrissy and Christian though. Like I'd be happy seeing both of them, but I'm also not gonna like be devastated.
Those are for everyone watching at home. I didn't just randomly put 10 names on and make this game up. All of them have had some highly rumored.
Yeah.
Highly rumored. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go a little bit longer before. Usually we do the ad break around the 30-minute mark. I want to get to this topic before we do this ad break here. Something that's weird about this season, and it's kind of frustrating. I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative over here. All right. I'm very happy. I was very happy watching Survivor tonight. It is incredibly frustrating when you get a group of very loyal players, because I was watching the episode tonight, and I, as a resident couch potato watching this episode air tonight, I was definitely sitting there. Why don't you just make this move? Like, why? What? Because there's a lot of moves that I think people should be making from this cast, and I love them to death. I love all you guys. I met most of you. But they're not making the moves because they are so fixated on being loyal players. Joe and Eva are a huge example of this. I think Kyle and Camilla, huge example of this. And so I'm questioning, and we talked about this earlier as well, will we see a situation? Duos have become a normal part of the new era. I could go on all day about all the duos that we've seen. Shan Ricard, you could say Austin and Drew, you could say Austin and Dee, I could Maria and Charlie. And usually it ends with someone, Cody and Jesse, it ends with someone backstabbing their number one ally around the final 5, the final 6 to make that final push to the end game.
Yep.
I don't know if I see it this season between the 2 duos that I just said. I certainly don't see it between Eva and Joe. Joe is not going to turn on Eva. I would bet my life savings. It would have to be Eva turning on Joe, and I don't see that happening, specifically after I watched her tonight be like, well, I have to tell Joe. Almost like, Joe, I got to run everything by Joe first. And I don't really see it with Kyle and Camilla either, to be honest.
I could see Camilla turning on Kyle at the end because of this whole like strong person alliance. Now Kyle's kind of been in the middle and Camilla's been on the outs. Like she would need it more, and she's smart and strategic enough to know that. So I could see it being advantageous for her to cut Kyle. I don't see Kyle cutting her as much, and I don't see Joe and Eva cutting each other either. Because Joe and Eva, I think they both, as far as what we know right now, and where, from everything that we've seen in the game so far, both Joe and Eva have reason to think that they have a good shot against each other. I can see how Camilla could see that she can't beat Kyle, and so she would have to vote him off.
I don't know if Joe sees that he has a good chance against Eva, or if we've already seen Joe. If this ruins my game, I don't care. I'm going to have her back, because we were talking about this earlier. Eva, fantastic episode from her point of view. Another great episode. She continues
to get a ton of points.
Yeah,
it won't be offset by David.
He continues to look to have a great route to the end, and we're going to get to what she went through tonight after the break. But with Eva, I said this earlier. I ran a poll for the fans, is Eva going to make the final three? It was pretty much 50-50. That's, to me, that question, is Eva going to make the final three, is basically saying, is Eva winning this game? Because that is someone that I would not want to take to the end because of her story, because of her strong social game, because of how physically tough she is. I don't see a loophole in this, and that's where I kind of am like, Joe, do you care to win this game? Because you're probably going to have to cut ties with Eva. Or is he, like he said, he said it a lot tonight. He's a man of his word, and he doesn't care at the end of the day.
I don't know. I think Joe his game has more legs to stand on at this point. We've seen that he is kind of like the gateway to all of these plans happening or not happening. We saw that last week, and we saw it again this week, that a lot of people are just running their stuff through Joe, and he is kind of like the glue between a lot of these things, and he's been a decision maker, and everybody trusts him. And then, even that episode when Thomas left, back before the merge, he was kind of protected from, and looking stupid, but it was never going to be him then. He, and he has Eva in his back pocket too. I guess you could say that that he's in her back pocket, but he seems to have more agency and more decision-making power in this game. So I think that his game has a lot of legs to stand on. And people seem to really love and trust and respect him too. So I don't know. I don't know if he needs to cut Eva. I think he has a really good game.
If he makes it to the final three with Eva, the unfortunate part for Eva is that she's not going to win because if Joe's there.
Because you also agree that Joe can beat Eva at the end.
Yes, and the reason why Joe can beat Eva is because he's playing the said loyal game. And then he's also not pissing anybody off. He's in the middle of all this, and people looking at, and this is just the outside looking in. This is me looking at the edit. Not that this is.
You didn't go out there and compete with them.
I wasn't there with them. I wasn't in the editing room doing all that stuff. I'm thinking that they're looking at it like she's now following on the coattails of. I'm not going to be able to say that I can remember back to previous times where a duo would make it, to the final three. But it's happened when that would be the case, and then it'd be like, okay, someone like a Joe would stand up and say, okay, I did this, and this, and Eva, I love you, but you came along for the ride. You know what I mean? So. Because what's going to happen is he said it today, proud dad moment. He won his idol. He's looked like a little giddy kid. It was great. It was great to see. But the fact of the matter is that he understands this is a game. He's playing a very loyal game, but there's going to come a point in time that his loyalty is only going to last so long, provided that he makes it as far as he does. Now, I think if he gets Eva to be able to play one of her advantages for him, then he's going to make it a little bit further. But I think he's in danger. He's in danger in the next couple of weeks because again, like I said, someone could go to final tribal council and say, Eva, what did you do? You were on the back of that guy right there sitting on the jury. He said jump. You said how high. This is what I did. And then that'll sway, people's thought processes if it goes that far. This is just me spitballing at it, but just from watching the show as long as I have, I think that kind of, to me, it makes sense.
I think I would agree with you, Bruce, that he's in trouble right now. Randy, a while ago, you asked if this was the right move. I do think this was the right move for Kyle, Shaheen, Camilla, Mitch, for all of them. I don't necessarily think it was the right move for Joe and Eva, because if say Mitch left, right, and then David's still in the game, there's this tension brewing then even more between David and Mary and Kyle and Shaheen. Then with that would have left Camilla and Star on the outs. Like Joe and Eva would find themselves like solidly in the middle. Everybody needs them. And those people are all still shooting at each other. They're locked and loaded with like 2 advantages. They're both strong in the challenges and could win any single one of them. That they've left them in a really good position. Now the door is a lot more wide open that people could be looking at them. They're like, oh man, they're a strong duo. They're in the middle of everything. They made this thing with David happen. They've got the advantages. People are looking at them now that David is out of the way. So I think they could be in trouble for sure.
I mean, we saw it in the preview for next week when they're already throwing out, now they're throwing out Joe's name. You just got rid of one of your shields. Yeah. This is what happens when you get rid of a shield, especially when that shield is carrying a lot of baggage and causing a lot of drama. Yeah. Also, with that shield, Zan said this earlier, he is going to be fine with the multi-million-dollar Big Milk endorsement deal.
Man, if this happened like 25 years ago, like, and
the milk commercial,
with the got milk ads and everything. Like if that happened when that was still really big, like, David would have been
crazy
magazine ads. Yeah.
My brother also adds in Mitch, Eva, and Joe are all people I would not want to go to the inn with. Yeah, all very likable as well.
But the thing is, if they go with each other though, like,
if you have 3 very likable people, then
no, I mean, if you are Eva and Joe, you're incentivized to keep each other around, because then it's like, okay, well, people don't want to go to the end with me, but they don't really want to go to the end with Joe either. So maybe they'll take a shot at him before they take a shot at me. Yeah.
What's not very likable is the fact that we do have to take an ad break, and when we come back, we're going to talk
these ad breaks.
What'd you say?
We get paid for these ad breaks.
You get paid to be here?
Not enough.
I do. In water.
Oh, he's not drinking tonight. Well, cheers to that. We're going to take this quick ad break, and when we come back, we will talk about Eva's late night Kim Possible mission in the woods. We'll be right back.
Hi, Survivor Now podcast listeners. I am Katie from KT Designs, better known as Katie Tedesco Art, on both Instagram and Etsy. I have been designing and selling Survivor products for over 7 years at my Etsy shop, including replicas like hidden immunity idols and Survivor trading cards with all of the players' stats on the back. I am so grateful for Survivor Now for giving me this shout out and helping me reach even more superfans. I love listening to their podcast. So if you are looking for some really unique reality TV products for yourself or to give a superfan in your life, come check out my Etsy shop at www.etsy.com/shop/KatieTedescoArt.com.
Definitely check Katie out. She makes a lot of great products. I have a few over there. I got some of the trading cards, so I definitely recommend her products. They are amazing, and thank you for her continued support to the show, and we will always support her as well. So okay, let's talk about this mission. We've touched base on Eva and Joe's alliance here. She had a difficult challenge of sneaking out in the middle of the woods, which I said this earlier, I would suck at. It is pitch black. If you haven't heard from a Survivor player, they don't give you lights out there. The cameras following you don't have lights. It is, Bruce, you can tell them, pitch black, right?
Yep.
And you think with the stars and the moon, you'll be able to see. I hear it's like you can't see your hand if it was like right here. And so I already know I would get caught because I would stand up and trip. So you'd hear some ruffling, and then I know I'd probably walk into a tree, and then I'd be like, oh, gosh dang it. And Beyond the Speedway says I would definitely trip and fall. Yeah, me too. But she did great for the most part, except she did get caught by Shaheen, who went and talked to Joe. Why would you talk to Joe of all people? That's like her number one. That's her ride or die. We didn't see really much come out of that. We'll see if it maybe later down the road we see more. Who knows? Because she did end up telling them kind of what happened, which built that trust between Shaheen and Eva a little bit more. But she gets there. I did think this. I love how they had torches lit, and I'm like, it had to be super far down the beach. Could you imagine if you were just going to take a crap and you look over and you're like, something's lighting up over here. I can see the lights. Well, let's like, would they tell you, no, you can't go in here, or would they just let you play the game if you stumbled on it?
No, see where that location is, because I know that beach that they're on right now. Where that location is pretty far down, and that was kind of where I don't want to put too much out there, but whatever. Where the crew would set up, like they would kind of sit there and come off there. I remember because I slept on the beach every.
So you have no reason to go down there.
There's no reason to go down there because I slept on the beach every night, and every morning when I woke up, I'd sit and wait, and I would see the boats come in that would bring in the new crew for the day, and that was a ways down the beach. So she was walking for a minute. So
wow, in pitch darkness, that's crazy.
Yeah. But if you're on the, you're walking along the water, like you're fine. Like you can still with when they show that view of the Milky Way kind of turning like that, like you have no idea what that's like because that's all you see, and that is so bright. So it does illuminate the sand a little bit, so you see where you're going. But when she came around that corner, I had a very good idea as to exactly where she was, and it was far enough away that nobody's going to be making their way down the beach.
Okay.
You're not supposed to go that far.
I thought it would be funny if someone just stumbled upon it and they were like, I just had to kind of take the Browns to the Super Bowl, but let's see what's going on over here. Yeah. Josh, you and I have been very vocal, and Bruce, you as well, about hating some of these journeys, hating some of the twists, some of the games. There's been some that we like too. What are you feeling about this one? So just to give everyone a very quick rundown, she gets an extra vote. She could risk that in a 50-50 chance at getting a safety without power, where you basically can just say, hey, I got safety without power. You don't vote. You get to go back to camp, so you can't be voted out. And then after that, if you win it, you can then risk it again, and you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting an immunity idol that's good until the final 5, which is as long as you can keep an immunity idol. So personally, I'm taking the extra vote and I'm going back to bed because I know I'm going to get the 50-50 wrong. I know that's just me as a person. Anytime in life when they're like, oh, you could win big and I choose one, it's always the other. So I'm just going to take the extra vote and go about my day, especially because I already have an idol in my back pocket like Eva does. What did you think about kind of how this game played out, Josh?
I think it's fine. I don't know. It was short. It didn't take up a ton of time. It wasn't like crazy unfair. She won the advantage last week as, I guess, a bonus to winning the challenge, which whatever. But yeah, no, I thought the game itself was kind of cool and that, like, okay, you could level up, make it more powerful, I think it was interesting that it wasn't like you lose your vote, you just like lose your advantage and just go back to camp as if nothing changed. Mm-hmm. That was an interesting spin on things. Probably empowered her a little more to take the risk. But yeah, no, I think it was cool to be like, okay, 50-50 to get a safety without power, which, it depends on.
It's pretty much an idol. Someone tweeted out, I saw, they put the message that why do more people don't talk about how strong a safety without power is? It is one of the strongest advantages in the game.
I mean, it depends on your position, right? Like, so it worked. It won Rachel the game last season, right? Because she got totally screwed in the swap and was, outnumbered 5-1 in like her split of the thing. So she needed
Saul gave her the
Saul gave her the safety without it, but she had the choice to do either safety without power or block a vote. Like, of course, she's going to take safety without power in that situation. However, if you are in the majority and your vote is needed, and it's not only like, okay, without my vote, maybe one of my allies could go home, or maybe like these people who I'm really targeting, they could escape through. Safety without power is better for people who are on the bottom than it is for people who are in a really powerful position like Eva. Yeah. So I can see some pros and cons to it. at the end of the day, it is kind of tempting to be like, okay, one of these next 3 tribal councils, I can just dip, be safe, and then make it 1 round further. But yeah, I think it was cool that they, 50-50 for that, which is, that is what it is, like safety without power. So it's not like there's no power, you're still kind of like losing your influence on the vote beyond, just like sparing yourself. But then having it be like a 1 in 3 chance for the idol, I think was appropriate, right? Like it was like a tougher chance to get something that's even more powerful.
It's a great idol though.
Because with the idol, you make yourself safe, but you can still influence the trajectory of the vote. When safety without power, you don't. So I wasn't gonna hate Eva for any choice that she made because she was not gonna like lose her vote. She would only like potentially lose an advantage. She's kind of playing with house money, and all of them, extra vote, safety without power, or an idol, all of them are good. So I'm not. I think she made a good decision, but I think that going for the idol probably would have been a good decision too, because safety without power is not as advantageous to her as it would be to someone like Camilla or Star.
So now I said the very same thing tonight, sitting on the couch. Like don't risk it. Don't risk the fact that you're gonna literally lose your, the ability to dip out. So you need that at some point in time. Use your idol, your idol first, and then use that one next. Because when you use the safety without power, like you said, Josh, is that you don't have a vote. So now if it's a pivotal thing, right now you're 4-4 according to the edits, which has happened. So if you come out on the bottom of this and now your vote is really needed to be able to get the next person out, then you take off and you dip. All your people are left kind of struggling to find out what's going on, and one of your people are going home. There's no getting around it. That's probably what's going to end up happening. I love the idea that they did this. If I'm not mistaken, 47, there was, you find the hidden immunity idol, and then you just, you then try to go forward and go to the next level, because it was a box, and it was like, all right, if you really want the next one, it was the same exact.
It's like it's good for 1 tribal council, it's good for 3 tribal councils.
Exactly.
So
it was the same thing. It's a different scenario, so you don't lose anything. Well, they lost their vote on 47, but they got it back, and they had more advantages that they went along. I love the idea that there was the vote was not lost.
Yeah.
They didn't take a vote away from you. Like that, and I've said it, and I'll say it again. My own experience, there was a puzzle sitting in front of me. They said, yeah, you play, you don't get it, you lose your vote. No, I need my vote. I didn't need to use it, but just in case if I did, I need to use my vote. And that's your voice in this game for the most part, unless you have, you win individual immunity, and then that's your voice, because you have more power in the scenario, or more influence, I should say. But you can't fault Eva for anything with this whole scenario. She could have just went in and said, "Nah, I'm good," and then walked away. But she had the wherewithal to stop at the second level of that challenge and not go to the third. And so, like she said, 33.3% chance of losing, all of this. Oh, I'm sorry, gaining this, and then 66% of losing it all. Like, why would you want to take that odd of losing it all? That's no one would go to the casino. Even if you had house money and they gave you $100,000 to go and spend the money, like, you're giving it back to them and then some, because you're going to go into your own pocket and say, well, if I'm close, I can get that back. No, you want to be able to, as much as humanly possible, stay relevant in the game. And the way to stay relevant is with your vote and your advantages. And then to talk about who's left in the game, I really think that Eva is going to play one of her advantages on Joe, or she's going to play it on somebody else who she was really close with, David. I don't really think of anyone else that she's really close with. But so she's definitely going to play it on David. I would not be surprised. I'll sit back and be like, yo, saw it coming. She's going to utilize it on him within the next 2 votes, just so that the 2 of them can then get to final 6. Oh, next week is 8. So next week, they'll join my group. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that. Her advantage that she got today to be able to walk away and say she's going to use it for herself. You give it to somebody else.
How far would you guys have pushed it? I already said that I would take the extra vote and I would just go back to camp. Or I might be able to convince myself, take the 50-50 shot because you're not risking a vote. say you guys take that 50-50 shot and you get the safety without power, which is what happened this evening, would you go for that? That's a powerful idol to have. That is a final 5 idol. It's not one that the safety without power, keep in mind, that's only good until final 7. She has to use that either next week or the week following that. It's a very short lifespan for the safety without power, where this immunity idol, I mean, that's the idol everybody covets in the game, the one that goes until final 5.
So if she turns around and says, okay, I'm going to use it this week. So now she definitely makes 7. And she uses her hidden immunity idol, and now she makes it to 6. Like, if she makes it that far, she's making it to the final 3. Like, there's no getting around it. So she hopefully calculated that and understood that, okay, she's safe this week. If she uses it on herself for the next 2 weeks, she's pretty much golden to go to the end. And let us go around and win an individual immunity challenge. Come on.
She's super capable.
Yeah.
She can definitely win. She essentially needs to make sure she's safe next week. And then you use safety without power at final 7. And then you would have that like final 6 where you could either win immunity or play your idol. And then you still have final 5. And then you're guaranteed fire making at that. And I mean, if Eva's going to fire, I find it hard to believe that Joe would not say, hey, let me help you out. Not saying that Eva needs help. I'm not saying she needs help. I'm just saying
firemen put out fires. They don't start them. All right?
Okay, we did find that out with who was
making a fire.
Wait, no, Mike Turner beat Jonathan, did he not? And he's a fireman.
He did.
Because Mike Turner's older. He has
he's still a fireman.
Put respect on his name, okay? Listen, Mike Turner, love you, baby. So here's the deal.
Mike Turner shout out here.
Mike Turner is going to sit there and he's going to be able to make a fire, because I know that I didn't practice all that much. I just knew that if I struck that thing the proper way, I was going to get the spark and I'm going to have a fire. That's how it's going to work. Like, it's a bunch of knowledge that he has built up in his own self. If the challenge is going fishing with the Hawaiian sling, Jonathan wins all day long. Okay, so it's just the basic knowledge of how to use a flint. That's what it comes down to. All right, and building a teepee, and there goes your flame, and you win. So, come on, man. I don't know. I love the fact
I feel like Joe
I can give a shout out to an older gentleman that was on that show.
All right, so I mean, the only other thing that I really wanted to touch on, I will a quick shout out. I wanted to touch base on Kyle and the story he shared today, which was really cool to hear, talking about his struggles, how he was able to overcome that, how he was able to get to where he is now, not only in his career path, but also like him as a person. And that was a huge bonding moment between him and Joe, I feel like. And something that I think Joe's going to really appreciate, because Joe seems like the one person out there who is very big into getting to know you as a person on a deeper level than just, hi, I'm here to play this game, essentially. So I don't think Kyle did that to be a game move, but I did want to bring up that moment because I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool too. It was great to hear Kyle like open up like that about how, he was doing all that, in jail, but while in law school at the same time. I think that, it showed a lot of humanity, in him, but also just like showed a totally different type of story than people might associate with those who could end up in jail for one reason or another, or those who are in law school. It was crazy. I mean, the way it was presented, it seemed like he was ended up in jail for some kind of not jail worthy stuff, but it's really, I'm sure there's more to his story, but it was cool to hear him open up and be so vulnerable on national television for that. I've always been high on Kyle, but I definitely
he's my winner.
I just respect him more and more each time.
I'm gonna say something, and this might make some people a little uneasy in regards.
Are you gonna get us canceled, Bruce?
I'm not gonna get canceled, but it's you read between the lines of what he was saying. He's a young black man, and he felt that if we potentially came down to, he was under the microscope of whatever was going on around him, and he was treated in such a way. I saw that and I felt that, okay? Wholeheartedly, I completely felt that. And there are some people that did as well. And it's kind of one of those things. It's not as heavy as when 41 went out there and they were playing and everything that was going on with the pandemic and George Floyd and all that other stuff. It wasn't that heavy, which is a good thing, because that if it gets too heavy, then there's too much divisiveness. But for him to be able to tell his story and how he felt and be very, very, very eloquent with it.
He's well spoken, very well spoken.
Well, even that, like even saying he's well spoken, it wasn't so much he was well spoken. He was very in tune with what he was saying, because he did not want to have it pulled to that side of the story. So then he goes and he talks to Joe and has a conversation with him, and then Joe said something that I don't know if he picked up on. He goes, I got the same blood in me too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it gave them a bonding moment, and it gave some people that watch this show, it gave a little bit of validity in what's going on with the whole situation. There are other people that are going to be asses, and they're going to be like, yo, we don't know yet about this season. And they're going to have big, strong thumbs, doing their thing. But it's a part of the show that we get to see the human moments of it. And that's why I love the first 45 minutes of this show was all about camp life. Like, I want to know more stuff about these people, so that when I see them in public and I'm able to have a conversation with them, like, not so much that I'm blindsided by it, but it'll be like, yo, that was pretty strong, man, for what you said. And then we can have a dialogue about that. So I fully appreciate it. And we need not too much of it, because, again, this is entertainment, not too much of it. But that was just enough. We had the Eva thing with her autism and the awareness with that, which is beautiful. It was great. And then we had our lull when it comes to the personal, I don't want to say tragedies, but we had a lull for that. And now we have...
And then we had Star becoming a fish in the ocean. The starfish has been created.
Man, let me tell you something. People, if you're going out with Survivor, please try.
I love how she didn't train, but she said, Jeff, when you have me back, I'll know how to swim that time. So I appreciated that. There was another funny moment with Kyle in confessional when he's like, David is being consoled by Mary, and it looks like, I'm not going to say it, but it looks like they're very good friends. I thought that was really good confessional gold. And then the only other thing that I think I missed to touch on is we had another epic showdown in the challenge between, at one point it was Shaheen, Joe, Kyle, Eva, and David, which have kind of been all the people who have been really competing. I don't want to disrespect Mary, though. She was right there with Eva last week as well. But everyone had won in immunity except for Shaheen. Then Shaheen dropped out. So we had 4 people who had already won immunity. It came down once again, David and Joe. And man, Kyle was frustrated when he fell, but David was furious when he fell, because it looked like Joe was on the edge of it. Was fun to watch. Like, I know some people don't like challenges. I really enjoy them.
I think David knew that he knew he was on the chopping block, man. When you know you're on the chopping block and you need, like, oh my God, I was having flashbacks because Austin beat me in that challenge the week that I went home. And I'll say it again. When I slid off that ramp and I went down and I was underwater, I stayed under as long as I possibly could. And I was literally underwater like, this is it. This is the end of my game. And I'm like, every curse word I can think of was coming to my mind. And I was just staying underwater as long as I could. And then I finally popped back up and I'm looking and I'm seeing Austin's, long hair, smiling face. And I'm just like, and I'm back in the water again. Like, and all my emotion was out right there. I had to get it all out right there, underwater where nobody could see it, so I could at least try to,
I'm going to go back now and watch the episode to see if I can tell how long underwater you were.
Man. I was underwater for, like, there are divers underwater, obviously, and I'm underwater, and I'm, like, just kind of sitting there and, like, looking at them. When are you going to come and get me? Like, I'm like sitting underwater, and I'm like, oh, this is horrible. But I can feel it. I understand exactly what he's going through. Like, he knew he was in hot water, and he's also a competitor. So when you put those two things together and you don't get the outcome that you want, that's when you sit there and you just like, he had to be doing so much scrambling. We only saw like 30 seconds of his emotion. Like he was pissed.
That was kind of the moment that it hit me. I know I was a little slow to the party, but that was the moment where I'm like, I think David's going home tonight, because I think there's something the editing team isn't showing us because they don't want it to be super obvious. But the way he was acting, I was like, I feel like David already knows it's him.
Yeah, he had a good idea.
So, well, that was it. That was the episode tonight. Did I miss anything, gentlemen? Like, obviously, they came back to camp at the very beginning and kind of talked. Bruce, I did miss something. What did I miss?
All right, so Milkman, love you, baby. I hate that you're going, but here's the deal. He's sitting there at one point, and he's carving into a coconut with a knife. First off, where the hell did they get a butcher knife from? But he's carving into it. Right? And then when he gets voted off, he's just like looking at Joe. I'm thinking that knife's coming out the bag. He legit like.
Oh, I did forget the stare. Yeah.
Yes, that was like there's
when he just kind of looked to the side and he's like.
It's refreshing to have somebody literally being so pissed without being like, oh, like just like silence is. The silence was.
I didn't think he was going to say like "good game, guys" or anything.
He didn't even say that.
He did. He waved to them. He's like, "Bye, guys." I think he said "bye, guys." That's what
I was just shy of a middle finger. Like, what are you trying to wave to? He waved to nothing. He's just like,
that's the stare was crazy. I thought Jeff was going to have to be like, David, I need your torch. Like
he punched the wall and he went back and he punched the hole in the wall in Ponderosa. Like he was mad. He was mad. I felt it.
I like exes like that. Like I know that if I were to go on Survivor and get blindsided like that, I would be just fuming like that, like totally silent. Definitely give one or two people a death stare on the way out if I, had the wherewithal to keep my mouth shut during that time. Yeah, so I liked it. I thought it was really juicy just watching it all unfold. Yeah, I mean, he should be pissed. Yeah, it was good. They got him. They got him good.
The milkman. We salute you, sir. The milkman from Bruce's team.
I'm glad he was on this season. I'm glad he made it as far as he did. Like this was a really
I was definitely wrong about him. And granted, we just go off preseason interviews and I actually met David at Ron Clark. I hope I'm okay to say this. I think I am because everyone's been posting pictures.
They're all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know CBS is like, guys.
Yeah, right. He was in the entire cast was in Ron Clark's video that he posted, and we also posted it on the Survivor Now page. And I was like, I think I can say that I met him though. And when I met David, the first thing I said was, I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Randy, Survivor Now podcast. And he goes, oh, yeah. I said, please don't hate us. Because there's been Ollie and him have had beef back and forth. We've kind of poked fun at him. And he told me, he's like, oh, man, I've got thick skin. I don't care. He's like, be more tough on me. Be harder on me. So he's a fun, loving dude. The entire cast is. I mean, they were all amazing people. And I look forward to partying with them again. And once again, thank you, Ron Clark, for that incredible opportunity.
I wish I could have went to
that. Incredible. Well, maybe next year. Maybe if we do it again next year. So.
Every other year he does it.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it'll be 50.
He only does it in the
on the even years.
On the even seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, so the next one will be 50. And that one, he did say that this is going to be the last time that it's free. Because when he started doing it, it was only for 100 people, and they go all out. So I didn't get any of the food because I was too focused on being on stage and everything. But they had this nice VIP area upstairs. They were nice and let us be a part of that too. So all the castaways could go up there before being introduced, or if they needed to step away at any time, they could go up there. And it's an open bar, so you don't pay. I hope it's open. I didn't pay for anything. It's an open bar. They make hamburgers and hot dogs for everybody. I didn't get to eat any of that. That's just on me. I was too nervous. I never eat before going on stage. Take that as a lesson. Never eat before going on stage. And so it was just a wonderful event. So he said that going forward, he's going to charge a little bit. He doesn't want it to be expensive because he still feels like he wants to, open it up to everyone to come, whether they have a lot of money or not. But he said he has to charge a fee moving forward because he could afford food and drinks and games and stuff when it was 100 people. He can't do it anymore when there was over 800 people there this year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So he's like, yeah, I got to start charging. So the next one, if he continues the trend, will be for Survivor 50, which airs next spring, right? Next spring.
They're taping. They're taping right now.
49. Yeah.
I mean, did you guys see? I don't want to waste too much time doing this, but I'm going to try to pull it up real quick. Did you guys see the list that Inside Survivor posted?
No.
Let me pull this up. So Tegwith did a whole rundown. Everyone followed Tegwith Survivor Simulation on TikTok.
Tegwith is tall. I didn't see she was as tall as she is.
Matthew's taller than I thought he was.
But he's like 6'2".
Yeah, when I met Matthew, he was a lot taller than I thought he was. I think it's this one right here. No, hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Let me look one more time. Like I said, I don't want to take up too much time, but she posted a reaction.
While you're doing that.
I just found it. Good cover. So this is what Inside Survivor tweeted out about. Below is a list of speculated confirmations. Ones I feel at least 90% confident about, and I've heard about, per season. So we can play this Guess Who game all we want. You guys can also check out Tegwith's video where she kind of takes you through who is who. So Inside Survivor says one man and one woman from Australian Outback. So the man is
Colby and Jerry.
It's either Jerry or it's Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
Oh yeah.
I think the man is definitely Colby.
You think Colby will come back?
They've been talking about it. I don't get it.
My understanding that they didn't.
They're not on good terms.
Yeah,
he was also like a total dud in Heroes versus Villains too. So
he was also older, and
how old would he be now? He'd be 50?
Probably like 50 or maybe 51, 52, something like that. Because I think he was 35.
So it would either be Elizabeth Hasselbeck or Jerry as the woman, but I'm hearing that Jerry got cut.
I heard that too.
So I'm guessing it's Elizabeth and Colby. One woman from Palau, that would be Stephanie.
Yeah.
One woman from Panama.
Suri.
One woman from China is very, very interesting. We can all assume it'd be, from what I'm hearing,
I say that I would love to.
It's either Amanda.
Amanda better be on my television.
What'd you say, Bruce?
That Amanda better be on my television.
It's either Amanda Kimmel, which the world would freak out about, or it could also be PG, or it could be Courtney Yates, or the three that I'm hearing.
I'd love Amanda or PG. I love Courtney, but I am okay with her not playing again. Sorry.
And then let me see. Tegwith's going to move her head here. It's one woman from Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, which would be Chrissy Hoffbeck.
Yeah, I hope she makes it.
She deserves it objectively.
One man and one woman from David versus Goliath.
So it's probably Christian and Angelina, probably.
Or Davey.
Davey.
Davey definitely. Yeah, Davey definitely.
Yeah, Davey was almost on the Traitors, so I feel like it could be him.
It would either be Christian Hubicki or it would be Davey, and then we can assume it would be Angelina, unless she can think of another woman from David versus Goliath who would get
I feel like it'd have to be Angelina.
Natalie, maybe?
I don't think they would do...
Suri and Natalie?
I don't think... No, because they're so different. But I think that... I don't think they would do someone like pre-merge who... Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she was an amazing casting, but I don't know if... I don't see them her bringing her back for like 50. Maybe they did like some sort of second chance thing, but I don't know. She's like in her 60s now, too. I don't...
Oh, yeah, good point. One woman from Survivor 45, which I'm seeing a lot of people say...
people are saying Emily. No, I'm hearing people say Emily.
I'm hearing Emily or Sabaya. and neither one makes sense. Emily, unless she changed her mind, and Bruce, you don't have to add on to this point because I know you know Emily more than we do. I've spoken with Emily several times, and she has reiterated she has no interest in going back out to the island.
I have not heard anything, about it at all. I know I was with her. I was with her in Boston, and we spoke a little bit about 50, and she's like, mm-mm. So
Okay.
I'll take face value on that.
But I'm hearing a lot of people also say Sabaya, and I'm like,
Hey, having a pre-merger on 50
Out of
would be pretty wild.
I love Sabaya, but like that one shocks me.
Again, if they, yeah,
one man from Survivor 46.
it's Q, right?
It would have to be Q.
No, you can't. I love Q.
Or would it be
I love
Charlie?
personality. I would say Charlie because if it can't be Q, just for the fact that there were too many questions in regards to Q's game. Like, yeah, he had the Q skirt and stuff like that. Like, he was a funny personality, but he faded out. And when he faded out hard at the end. It wasn't like it was like staunch all the way through. Like, if
I'm
like,
not hearing Charlie though, I'm hearing Q.
Maybe
know,
just
maybe
assuming
just
Q. I don't
don't-
know.
don't-
Production love Charlie.
I think it should. I think it should be Charlie. Okay,
You know why Charlie? Because he's the whole thing with Taylor Swift. Like there's so many people that gravitated towards him because of that. One of the reasons, but I think that's a huge reason why a lot of people gravitated towards him because they can relate.
So those are the people that inside Survivor who he's going to be the one that breaks the cast whenever. And he said he's not saying anything until he's got a great reputation of being correct. He's not going to say anything until he said he knows they step on the island. He will not reveal it. So I can't blame him. But those that we just talked about, he's 90% confident about. He's about 60, 70% confident about. Two men from Cook Islands, which you can assume is Ozzy and
Penner. Yeah.
One man from Survivor 42. Jonathan is, because a lot of people are like, it's got to be Omar, right? I'm hearing Jonathan. I'm hearing Jonathan more than any other name, honestly.
Yeah. I think Omar went through too much of a mental toll after the fact of everything. And I love him to death. He's a great dude. I talked to him multiple times. But Jonathan would be my lock.
And then Survivor 40, one woman from Survivor 48.
Say,
which I think would be Say.
Yeah. I guess they always do that. They always put people from the most recent seasons on the All-Star season.
And then the other notes that we have here, no winners. No winners for the season.
Wow.
Ozzy / Jonathan was basically confirmed as far as I could tell, given that Jeff / production were very anti-Ozzy for Game Changers. This is likely also a decision that came directly from CBS. So the note there would be, and granted, this is all rumors. This did come.
Take all of it with a grain of salt. Yeah, for sure.
I am not talking I'm not talking for CBS. So don't take this and run and say the Survivor Now podcast just announced that CBS stepped foot. But the rumor is Jeff and production did not want Ozzy on Game Changers. CBS, we do know, put their foot in and made them cut a lot of new era players. Said we want more. From what I'm hearing, CBS came out and basically said we want a lot of legends, multi-time players, and kind of put their foot down. Yes, Bruce, I agree.
Here's the reason why I believe is because you.
Oh, I didn't know you had a question. I thought you were saying you're a multi-time player and a legend. I was like, yes, of course.
No, I would never say that about myself. Keep talking. I think that CBS, if they're stepping in with the whole, who's going to be on, they're looking at the overall makeup of the viewership.
Yeah.
They're looking at the overall makeup of the viewership because I really, 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 really like this season. This season is I would have loved to have been on this season because it's a better depiction of these people. A lot of these people could play old school Survivor. I really do feel very confident about that because they're a little bit more in tune with themselves. They're playing a lot of people playing that the loyal game, which is what old school Survivor used to be. So I think that CBS brass came along and said, listen, hey, I appreciate where we've gotten to this point. We'll keep some of it, but they want to see more of what people my age are looking at. The people that the OGs that started watching 20 years ago, and they want to bring those people back a little bit, because you have people that watch for the first 15 seasons, and all of a sudden you have that lull, that weird lull, and they're like, I want to see those people from the first 15 seasons. And then you have people that fell off with that lull and came back in the 20s and said, okay, now I want to see those people come back.
I'm kind of happy they put their foot forward. I'll say this: when I say stuff like this, I feel like it might affect me getting on the show someday. Hopefully, it doesn't. But I feel like at times, as great of a host as Jeff is, I feel like he's lost track of reality at times and what the fans actually want. Because from what I'm hearing, Jeff was the cast of 50 was going to be majority new era players. And I don't think fans want that. And Jeff, I think at times doesn't really give a crap what the fans want. This is what Jeff wants. He likes the new era. He likes the 26 days. He likes the shorter game. He likes all this. This is what I want as the host and the producer. This is how it's going to be. And I'm kind of happy that CBS stepped in and said, no, that's not how it's going to be. Some of the people that you don't want on the show who, played old school Survivor, they need to be back, like you said, for viewership, Bruce. I kind of like that they did that.
See, I think where everyone went wrong, though, is not doing like just a straight up like new era all-stars season, like 47, 48, 49, or like 51 or 52, whatever. Because like you would get such a stacked cast with only new era all-star people. Like there's so many people in that sort of setting.
They should have done it for 47.
I would love to see, or even if they had done like 45, 46, they had done like the late 30s versus the new era, something like that. Like there's such a deep pool already. But when you're framing season 50 as like 25-year celebration, 50th season, a celebration of like the whole run of the whole show, you need people from the whole run of the whole show. You can't just have new. If you're having this like landmark season, you need and framing it the way that you are, you need people from the whole run. Yeah, but it sucks that they haven't done like a new era all-stars, because like there's so many people who have deserved a second shot, and people build up their legacies. Some of these people who we've seen play a bunch of times, like Parvati was not super noteworthy her first time playing. Like Boston Rob went pre-jury his first time. There's a lot of people who like Kelly Wentworth was like kind of a pre-merge, like nobody, like her first time playing. We see a lot of people like build up their reputations by playing multiple times, and new era folks. And then also folks from like 35 on haven't really had the opportunity to do that. So they're putting themselves in this situation now, which sucks because there's so many new era folks who would kill it, I'm sure, on a season like 50. But when you're trying to like celebrate the show's whole run, you're going to need a lot more like older school people.
It's always confused me taking a look at like how many people have played 3-4 times, and I understand maybe what casting was thinking, but once you see someone out there for the fourth time, you're just like, why?
Well, some of these people who are rumored are kind of confusing. I just saw Ozzy in Atlanta as well. This would be Ozzy's fifth season playing. This would be Cerie's fifth as well.
The thing about Cerie
Penner's fourth or fifth?
Yeah, Penner's fourth. Yeah, so Boston Rob has played 5 times. There's, I believe, 6 other people who have played 4 times, and then there's like 25 or so people who've played just 3 times, and then a whole lot more have played twice. Cerie is an exception to me, I think, because she brings something different each time. She's gotten totally robbed almost every time and has like come so close and is always going to bring it, always going to make things interesting. Ozzy is a lot more one note to me, and especially his last time out there. Granted, he didn't get much of an edit, but like, what more is he going to do? Cerie is like someone who's a very capable player who's always
Penner's
like,
interesting to
show
me.
us interesting. Penner is like an interesting, more of a character than a player, and so he's like he's got good confessionals. He's a good personality, good narrative. Yeah. And it's been 13 years since we've seen him. So some of them I get.
He's in his 60s now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's early 60s. Yeah. Some of them I get. Ozzy, I don't really get.
The last note that I will make on this, and it's so no winners. We already talked about Ozzy and Jonathan are pretty much locked in from this report. Alicia from Australian Outback is possibly in the mix. She's not deconfirmed yet.
That would be a deep cut. That's for sure.
I thought Elizabeth Hasselbeck is a deep call.
That is a deep cut for sure. And I would just be so here for that. That would be so
I would be incredibly
because she was like, I think they really wanted her on the first All-Stars, but she declined. And I think they invited her back other times, but she declined because she just like had a career that went in a different direction and, became super famous in like her own right outside of Survivor. But she was a very big presence and like kind of was the star of one of the sweethearts of the season. And they couldn't get her, so they cast Amber instead, basically, for the first All-Stars. But she was always someone who they would have wanted again. Alicia, she had the finger wagging moment with Kimmy. I don't really think she like brought a whole lot more to the table beyond that. But Elizabeth was someone who was like highly sought after from the very beginning.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see when they officially announce the cast, which should be literally within the next month. They should be releasing the cast. Make sure we have right now 125 viewers who are still here after our rant about 50. We appreciate each and every one of you. So if you guys want to hear us talk more about the official cast for 50 when it actually released, make sure you hit that like button of this video, share it with your friends so they find our channel, subscribe to the podcast, hit that notification bell so you are notified when we go live, because the moment they release the cast, we are going to have a stream about it. We will break it down. We will discuss the cast in general, who we're excited for. So make sure to hit that notification bell, because the moment they drop it, we're going to plan a stream and have it air probably within a day or two of them dropping that news. But we are still talking Survivor 48 after all of that too. And that doesn't stop with this episode. Tomorrow, join Josh and Will for Survivor Stock Watch. It's our power ranking show where they will take you through each Castaways game and discuss who's rising, who's falling. Last week, they had Eva as a potential winner right now. They had Eva and Kyle as the two people they think, or no, Eva and Shaheen were the two people they think are going to win this game. So see if that changes. That's tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously on YouTube and SurvivorNowPodcast.com. On Saturday, join Matthew, Ollie, and Phil for Got Something For You. That's 3 p.m. Eastern time, noon Pacific. Look, we don't talk about every single moment here. We barely touched on the swimming moment and stuff like that. We didn't even touch on the incredible reward they got, the chocolate cake, the whatever it was, ham and cheese sandwiches. Got Something For You. They take you scene by scene with pictures of each moment of the episode, making sure that we don't miss talking about a single thing. The guys over there do a fantastic job. They just did a podcast with Liz last week. So go check that out as well. She had a lot of fun stories, but that is Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sundays, Survivor Social with Tegwith and Kara. They talk about the social aspect of the game. This week, they will be joined by Brian Corden from Survivor Guatemala. Always an honor to have him on. So you can catch that podcast Sundays at 8. So a lot of great stuff coming up this summer. We have Survivor Australia versus the World. We will be covering that as well. We did a video, Ollie and Kara did, previewing the entire cast. You're going to want to make sure to go check that out. And then again, if you're interested in all of our content, go to our website, SurvivorNowPodcast.com. For myself, Josh, and Bruce, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to follow our social medias. You can see them below our names. And we will catch you guys next week.